All right, let's look at how to simplify derivatives. Right, when you have to make multiple derivatives, it might be a good idea to simplify each derivative so that it's easier to take the next derivative. Right, so let's look at this example. Right, so f of x is equal to x times a square root of 1 minus x squared. Right, so let's take the first derivative first. Right, since I don't like a square root, so I'm going to rewrite it as x times. So since that square root is equivalent to 1/2 power, so I'm going to write the quantity 1 minus x squared to the 1/2 power. Right, so since this is a product of two functions, so first function is x, second function is quantity 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 1/2 power. So we're going to use the product rule. Right, so derivative of the first is 1 times the second, so just copy that. So quantity 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 1/2 power. Right, plus, right, first guy is x times, right, so we're going to take the derivative of this using a power rule and a chain rule, or we can call it general power rule. Right, put power in front, so 1/2. Right, keep the inside function as it is, so 1 minus x squared. And then subtract 1 from the power, so 1/2 minus 1 is negative 1/2. Then multiply by derivative of inside. So derivative of 1 is 0. Derivative of negative x squared would be a negative 2x. Right, so we have that. Right, then we're going to try to simplify as much as possible. Right, first thing I would do is I'm going to cancel 2 on top and then 2 on the bottom. Right, and multiply by 1 really doesn't do anything, so I'm going to ignore that. Same thing, multiply by 1 doesn't do anything, so ignore that. So we have that. So we're going to get, let's see, so first term would be quantity 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 1/2 power. Right, and the second term is going to be, so I'm going to write it in a fractional form. Right, so you have, let's see, there's a x here, and there's another x on top. So I'm going to put that x squared on top. Right, and actually, since there's a negative sign here, I'm going to turn this into a subtraction. So it's going to be a minus. Right, so we have a minus here. Right, so since we have a negative power, we know that the quantity 1 minus x squared is going to be on the bottom. So quantity 1 minus x squared. Right, then we still have to raise it to 1/2 power there. So I'm going to put 1/2 right here. Right, so we took care of everything. We took care of this guy. Right, so we took care of everything. And what we're going to do next is I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to take the common denominator. So it looks like a denominator is 1 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 power. So I'm going to multiply the first term and then top by 1 minus x squared raised to the 1/2 power. And then you have 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 1/2 power. So as long as you're multiplying top and bottom by the same thing, we're not really changing it, right? So this is equal to, right, now we have the common denominator. So you have 1 minus x squared quantity raise it to the 1/2 power. So we're going to put that on the bottom, right? So we have a quantity 1 minus x squared and raise it to the 1/2 power, right? So we got that. Right, so when you multiply these guys together, so this is basically a square root of 1 minus x squared this is another square root of 1 minus x squared. So square root is gone, so you're going to get the 1 minus x squared. Right? And then only thing that's left is minus x squared. So you have a minus x squared. Right? Just one more step. So denominator is looking good. So I'm going to just keep this quantity 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 1/2 power. Right? Then you have 1 here. So 1 is all by itself. So I'm going to just put 1 here. But we can put minus x squared. And there are actually 2 of them. So it's going to be a minus 2 x squared. Right, so we have the first derivative. So I'm going to just box it in. Right, this is our first derivative. Right, so let's take another derivative. So second derivative. So we're going to take the derivative of that. Right, this time we have a quotient. So we're going to use the quotient rule. Right, so first step would be we're going to just to take care of the denominator. Right, so I'm going to square the denominator. So it's a 1/2 power square root. If you square that, square root is gone. So you're just going to get the 1 minus x squared. Right? Right, take the derivative of the top. You're going to get negative 4x, right, times the bottom. So you have just copy exactly the same thing. 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 1/2 power, right, minus, right, top is quantity 1 minus 2x squared, right, then take the derivative of the denominator. So it's going to be multiplied by, right, we've done this. I put the 1/2 in front. I keep the inside function, which is 1 minus x squared, as it is. And subtract 1 from the power, so it's going to be negative 1/2. Then multiply by derivative of the inside, which is going to be negative 2x. Right, so we have that. All right, then I can, again, we can cancel. There's a 2 on top here and 2 on the bottom there, so we can cancel those. And also, there's a negative sign here, so I'm going to just use this negative sign right here and then combine that. So I'm going to turn this into addition there, right? So we can do that. All right, then next step would be, I don't like to have this a negative power in the numerator here because it's basically a fraction inside a fraction. So to remove that, I'm going to multiply top by quantity 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 1/2 power, just like before. Then we do exactly the same thing to the denominator so that we don't change anything here, right? So if you do that, you're going to get, so this is going to be equal to, right? So denominator is going to be quite simple. You just have to multiply. So multiply 1 minus x squared. So there's going to be a first power. And this is the same thing with the 1/2 power. So 1 plus 1/2 is 3/2. So you're going to have quantity 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 3/2 power. Right? So we got that. All right, so let's distribute. Right? So if you distribute here the numerator, so this factor, right, to the first term, right? So to the first term. All right, so you can see that this is a square root times another square root. So square root is gone. So I'm going to actually just kind of scratch this, right? So that you're left with negative 4x times 1 minus x squared, right? Because 1/2 power and you have 1/2 power multiplied together becomes first power, because 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1. So you just get that. Right, so that takes care of this first term here. Oops, maybe I should use a different color so that I don't get confused. So here, so this term is already that. Right, then I still have to distribute this factor to the second term. Right, the good thing about that is you can see here you have 1 minus x squared to the negative 1/2 power. That's a reciprocal of 1 minus x squared to the positive 1/2 power. So we can actually cancel these two guys out. Right? Then what's left is going to be, let's see, so let's pick some up. So there's a x here. So I'm going to put the plus x. Right? Then there's going to be here, we have another factor here. So it's going to be a quantity 1 minus 2x squared. So you have a 1 minus 2x squared. Right? So we have that. So we picked up everything. So that's that. Then here, we need to simplify a little further. Right? So here, we have a common factor here. So there's x here. There's x there. So I'm going to pull it out since it's a common factor. And we're going to write it once. So there's x there. Right? Then no other common factors. So I'm going to simply distribute the negative 4 to negative 1. Positive 1. So that's going to be negative 4. And then I'm going to distribute the negative 4 to negative x squared. So that's going to be positive 4x squared. Right? Then we have 1 minus 2x squared. So it's going to be plus 1 minus 2x squared. All right, then denominator is exactly the same. So I'm just going to copy that quantity, 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 3/2 power. All right, so almost done. So this is going to be equal to, Alright, so I'm going to write the denominator exactly the same. So 1 minus x squared, raise it to the 3/2 power. If you want to write the square root, that's fine, but I'm going to leave it as that. Alright, so I took care of the denominator here. Alright, so there's there's a x factor x there. So I'm going to put x. Alright, here we can group things together. I'm going to combine 4x squared and minus 2x squared. So you're going to get 2 positive x, 2x squared. Right? Then we have a negative 4 plus 1. So there's going to be negative 3. Right? So this is the second derivative of the function f of x. Right? That's it. I hope that this was clear.